Hey Rivals Coaches, Zay Valor. Another 4.0 video. Again, welcome to 4.0. Now we're going to be looking at setup and show off. So we're going to be looking at how to utilize the new setup screen and then looking at some more customization and fun options at the end. If you haven't seen the first video yet about match changes or you have not read the patch notes, please do so now. There are links in the description. Okay. Again, this is beta footage, so it may have changed slightly, but all the general concepts are good. So let's talk about setup. Now, we know with the match changes that things have been streamlined. It's a bit more, it's easier to scout your opponent and see what they're going to do. Well, Metagames has made it even easier out of match by this new setup screen. So we're going to go ahead and I have my opponent here. He's a nice 32K below me, but that's not going to matter too much. So let's go to the setup screen so I can show you some things. Okay, so this is the hub of your setup screen. In the middle is going to be the very important part. That is what they call a pentagraph, and it's going to show you what aspects you excel in and that your opponent excels in. So we can see that my opponent is fairly decent at map play and combat while I am a scaling and defense team myself. So we can see that because I have 32K on him, it's going to look quite skewed in his favor. But let's go ahead and we're going to change it here real quick to a hard scrim, which is going to change the setup. Now look at the pentagraph. We can see that I'm still the same because my team hasn't switched, but he is particularly good in combat and defense. That's going to influence how I ban and what type of pick order I'm going to use, because I want to make sure that my champions are not countered by those two and that he does not get to use the champions that he's good with. So you can see at a glance what your opponent is good against. A nice thing about the pentagraph as well is it is going to show what tactics you're using. You can see those little gold dots above the aspects. I'm using scaling and objectives. Scaling for early and mid, objectives for late. So it is going to show us that. It will not show your opponent. So very easy at a glance to see what our opponent wants to do. So we're going to go down onto these bottom five. We're going to just go in order. So we're going to go to Scout first. This is going to bring up my opponent's page. It's going to show at the top, and we'll talk about that later, their showcase. Then it's going to give me just some general information, their power, their gear, a pentagraph where I am not shown at all, so that way it's easier to see just their information. Then it's going to show their main lineup and gear. So kind of like normal. This is the most reminiscent of the 3.0 setup screen. You'll notice that there's no way to set bans here. That's actually a different tab. And this just gives us very basic information. The coolest part about this, for me, is the showcase, which we'll talk about later. And so that's what it's going to be primarily for, since the pentagraph here is the same as the one on the home of the setup. You are going to notice, because I did hit Scout, there is now a green check mark telling me that I did that. I completed this. You do not need to do all five to start a match, but it's there to help you organize your planning and scouting. Lineup is going to be normal. This is going to be my pentagraph with no opponent. It's going to show my players. I can swap. It'll show their condition, team play, power, all that. So pretty normal. Just making sure that we can set our team appropriately. So I'll hit save. Again, green check mark shows up. Next is tactics. Now tactics are going to be very similar to what we're used to. You can set your tactic to any of the five aspects. It will at the top show you what champions use that aspect for their plays to help you out. So that's not really changing. However, in the bottom left, you're going to notice this thing called priority lane. Now, if you watched the first video, you know that I did tell you that you're only able to use a power play once per game. Well, a particular power play once per game. So lane swap you can only use once, but if you have someone who ganks, you can use that in early. Well, in the case that you do not have a power play or you take the option to not use your power play, you will instead get the option to boost the play of a lane. So what you can do is through the priority lane, you can set when you're AFK what lane your team will focus on. This is particularly useful if you have a lane that's just stronger than others that you want a boost, because whichever one you choose will get a boost of 25% towards their skill when using a play in that lane in the event that you don't have a power play. So if I've used my power play already in mid, so we're in mid 2, and I have Branka in top, and I choose that I'm going to prioritize top, she will get a 25% boost to her scaling aspect because that's the one she uses. You can change the priority in match, but this is more for AFK. So I'm going to just choose bot here. So tactics are done. Bans. This is where we can set our bans. It's going to have a lot of information, just like the previous bans, but a bit more concise, a bit easier to read. You have all your different champs. They are still categorized by class, going up and down. And then you can see what aspects they use. So we see Sir Odric is objectives, Hervades is scaling, Bill Terrence is defense. We've got the Beast is combat, and then Morisma is map play, so there's all 5. You can also see who has comfort picks based on the red pips. So if I choose Hervades, it will show you that both of our junglers have him as a comfort pick, and that his strong roles are going to be jungle and support up at the top there. You can also then go into the details page for that champ if you need to. One of the coolest additions is at the bottom where it says filter. If you hit filter, you can go ahead and say for instance, I want to have the opponents. I only want to see opponents who use the combat and defense because we know that's what they're good with. So let's go do that. Here we go. So these are all of the champs with those aspects that our opponent has. So now we can clearly see, okay, so these are the ones we should be worried about and change our bans accordingly now. So filter, very helpful. You can go by aspect, power spike, class, role, comfort picks, if it's strong or not. It's very cool. All right, so we'll save that. Finally, picks. Now, I know there's been a lot of conversation about manually picking for your players. We're still not there yet. Very complex thing to put in, so it's not here. However, they have made it easier to see what your team will do. So, if, for instance, I'm going to just go ahead and choose an early game pick strategy. At the bottom, you'll notice that the pick order has changed to go jungle, mid, top, bot, and support. Now, if I choose my jungler, it will show me his priority buckets. They will choose in this priority. Now, anything on like priority 1, so Hervades and Chun Li, if they are both available, it will be randomly chosen between the two. So anyone in a priority bucket will be randomly chosen. But you can see here that if they're both taken, well, then it'll just go to any comfort pick, then it'll go to an early game class pick, then any class pick, then any early game, then any possible. So it's going to go through that progression. Whatever is the first thing available from top to bottom, it's going to choose. So you can do this with all your players, and it'll show you the different priorities. And you can do this for any different type of pick order. So late, you can see it here now it's changed. My jungler now doesn't have anything in priority 1, but they do have a lot in priority 2 because they just want a comfort pick. So it will help you see what your players are most likely to pick, and you can help plan around that. So we'll go ahead and just hit save. So right there, that's a lot of information. The scouting tools are super powerful right now. They will help you to better ban for your opponent and to give you an edge if you properly scout. So we got that. Next, we've got the gear. I'll show you real quick. You can see here that the gear has slightly changed to just read the new aspects. So it'll show you what roles, what aspects are being boosted, all of that. So pretty normal. That hasn't changed. The big change is we're going to go to branding, and that will be the showcase. All right, so the showcase, there are a lot of different trophies that you can now add. Some of these are added for events, for achievements. So for instance, if you win a league, like you get number 1 in L6, it'll get you a trophy that you can then display for all of your friends and opponents. And then, in addition, you will also have some decorations. These are just random posters. You've got different champions with wanted posters. Got different fun things like hearts and hydras and flames and all that. So just cool, fun little art things just to show your creativity and your personality. And then backgrounds as well to go behind all of your stuff. Just, again, a little bit more customization, make everyone's teams feel more unique. So I have heard that past achievements will carry over. So you should have some trophies already in your showcase at this point. So go ahead and equip those, show off your personality, show off your achievements. And that is really it. I mean, we talked a bit about transfers, how now they will only have champions that they can use who are strong in that role. So that is a good change to stop as many rerolls. Corporates as normal. So yeah. Oh, last thing, real quick. Daily login rewards have changed. I think they're much better now. There's no training. It's more style, more tickets. It's just stuff that we want to see more of. So slight change there. But that is it. Those are the big changes in 4.0 and how it's really going to affect how we scout, how we ban, choose our pick order, and generally plan for the match ahead. So I hope that this helped. I hope that this gives a little bit more light onto some of the features that are part of 4.0 and many reasons why I'm so excited for everyone to get into this. I think this is going to breed a lot more creativity, a lot more competition, especially at the highest levels. So I do hope you all enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you out there, coaches. Hit me up on the Discord and let me know what you think.